Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be investigating a result that, on the surface, looks completely and utterly standard.
It really does.
Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 3. This match played on Sunday, December 14th, 2025, at Selhurst Park. I mean, it just looks like a comfortable away day for a title challenger, doesn't it?
Yeah, on paper, it's a routine win.
Yeah.
But we have been given some incredible source material, the BBC Match Report, really detailed analytics, and a fantastic fan thread from inside the stadium that proves this was anything but routine.
Right.
Our mission today is to explore the absolute statistical chaos hiding just beneath that clean 3-0 scoreline. This deep dive is an investigation into a football result that, mathematically speaking, makes absolutely no sense at all.
That is the perfect way to put it. That's the real crux of it, isn't it? How can a team record what looks like an impressive, dominant 3-goal win, while at the same time you could argue they deserve to lose?
Yeah.
This result, I think, perfectly illustrates the huge difference between statistical expectation and just ruthless clinical execution.
And we don't even need to wait for the deep analysis to prove it. We can just start with the single most jaw-dropping statistical anomaly of the entire match.
Go on.
Crystal Palace recorded an expected goals, or XG, figure of 2.08.
Wow. Over 2?
Over 2. Meanwhile, Manchester City's XG was only 1.1.
So, okay, if City scored 3 goals from chances that were only worth 1.1, does that just expose a flaw in the XG model itself? Or is this, the ultimate validation of elite finishing completely transcending what an average statistical prediction would be?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Because this isn't just a slight overperformance. We're talking about Palace creating chances that were statistically worth nearly double what City did.
It's the highest form of statistical robbery. It really sets the stage for everything we're going to unpack today. How on earth did City pull off a professional 3-0 victory when they were, by all metrics, outcreated, outshot, and defensively pushed to their absolute limits?
Right, let's get into it. Despite that incredible statistical advantage for the home side, the fact remains that City secured the 3 points. They transitioned from what was a really narrow halftime lead to, eventually, a comprehensive 0-3 victory. It was a masterclass in efficiency, even if it wasn't really a masterclass in control.
Exactly. They won the war of attrition, really, just by taking their very narrow opportunities. I think we should chart the timeline because the timing of these goals was so psychologically crucial for Palace.
Okay.
So the deadlock was finally broken in the 41st minute, just 4 minutes before the break. And of course, it was Erling Haaland.
And it was a fantastic goal, wasn't it? It really broke the spirit of Selhurst Park right when they were probably expecting to go in level, feeling pretty good about themselves.
Absolutely.
The assist came from Matheus Nunes. Nunes, who had been relatively quiet up to that point, delivered this deep, whipping cross that just arsed perfectly to the back post. And Haaland, well, Haaland did what Haaland does. He thumped home the header.
And that's goal number 16 in the Premier League for him already. That timing right before the half is just devastating, wasn't it?
Completely.
It just took all the wind out of Palace's sails just as they were gaining momentum. And they'd created the far better opportunities up to that point, including that infamous woodwork strike we'll definitely be discussing shortly.
For sure. So City then cemented their lead in the 69th minute. Phil Foden, who is having an absolutely sensational season, scored a truly delightful finish.
Pure class.
Yeah, and the assist here came from the increasingly vital Rayan Cherki.
Foden's finish was just, pure class. He showed incredible composure to just slot it home when the pressure was really mounting on City.
Right.
And crucially, it meant Palace's high XG moments in the second half, which had actually continued after the restart, were suddenly rendered largely meaningless. They'd been pushing and pushing to try and claw back an equalizer, and then bang! Instead, they found themselves 2 goals down.
And the inevitable closer came right near the end of the match. In the 89th minute, Haaland converted a late penalty, securing his brace. The sources detail that it was the Palace substitute, Savinho, who was fouled by the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, inside the box.
And Henderson rightly picked up a yellow card for that challenge. That took Haaland's league goal tally up to 17.
17?
Yeah, and if you look at the source of City's 3 goals, it's highly instructive. You've got 1 set-piece penalty and 2 open play actions, Haaland's header and Foden's finish.
That's a really good point.
Considering the overall tactical picture, this reliance on specific moments of individual brilliance rather than sustained offensive pressure is exactly how City defied the statistics.
So for City, the immediate takeaway from this is entirely focused on the title race, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They secured the 3 points they needed to keep the pressure firmly on Arsenal, reducing that gap at the top of the Premier League table back down to just 2 points. So Arsenal sit on 36 points from 16 games, and City are right there, breathing down their necks on 34.
This is vintage City behavior. It just is. This was their 4th consecutive league win, and they've scored at least 3 goals in each of those 4 victories.
That's some run of form.
It is. The sources highlight that this ties a goal-scoring run they last achieved back in April 2024. That consistency, that high-volume scoring, even on an off day where they don't create much, it sends a chilling message to their rivals.
The message is, we always find a way.
Exactly. They're just relentless.
Okay, let's dive fully into the numbers now. We really need to validate that visceral fan feeling, that sense of injustice. If you were watching this game or even just reading the basic stats afterwards, you would absolutely feel cheated by that 0-3 result.
Oh, completely.
The fan thread sentiment, calling the result, well, one fan called it bullshit, and another said it was the most undeserving 3-0 ever, and that feeling is completely backed up by the figures.
Absolutely. The raw attacking volume tells a story of, frankly, Palace dominance. The shots comparison is just staggering and demands more than just a quick mention.
Right.
Crystal Palace registered 16 shots.
16.
Compared to City's meager 7. That means Palace were attempting a shot roughly every 5 or 6 minutes of the game, while City were only managing one every 13 minutes or so.
That volume is absolutely key. And while City dominated possession, holding 61.8% compared to Palace's 38.2%, which is, the typical Pep Guardiola blueprint, possession can often be a distraction, can't it?
It can, yeah.
The real measure of attacking threat is penetration, and that's where Palace truly, truly excelled.
Yes. Palace logged 32 total touches inside the opposition box.
32.
32 compared to City's surprisingly low 12. Just think about that difference for a second.
It's enormous.
32 touches in the box, 0 goals. 12 touches in the box, 3 goals. We're looking at a ratio where City scored a goal for every 4 touches they had in the danger area.
Whereas Palace, they needed almost 20 box touches just to hit the woodwork.
Exactly. It's an incredible disparity, and it reveals everything about the tactical breakdown. Palace clearly had the personnel and the structure, particularly in those quick transitions and their wide play, to break City's defensive lines and create sustained threats right on the goal mouth.
But I suppose City's defense, while it was obviously stressed, must have been exceptionally effective at shielding the keeper and forcing low-percentage shots, at least until their attackers delivered a moment of magic.
Well, this brings us right back to the XG breakdown, which is the foundational truth of this whole anomaly. If we ignore the penalty, which always skews things a bit.
Yeah, let's take that out.
The open play XG is the most damaged figure for City's creative output. Palace recorded 1.75 XG from open play, while City managed a truly paltry 0.31 XG from open play.
Hold on, let's just process that for a moment. City scored 2 open play goals, Haaland's header and Foden's finish, from chances that collectively were statistically worth less than a third of a single goal. That means both of those goals were scored from chances that the average striker in the average situation would miss probably 9 times out of 10. That is just incredible finishing.
It's statistical defiance. It's what separates the truly elite from the merely good. City essentially scored 3 goals from chances that on another day should have yielded just over 1.
Right.
Their finishing was exceptionally high above the average, while Palace's finishing was drastically below average, and that created this huge gulf in the scoreline.
What's fascinating, and something the numbers compel us to analyze, is the irony in City's defense. Because if Palace were so dominant in attack, surely City's highly rated backline would have been composed, in control.
You'd think so.
But the defensive stats suggest the complete opposite. Palace were superior in total tackles, 22-14, and in tackle win percentage, 77.3% to City's 42.9%. They were assertive, physically dominating that midfield battle.
And that aggression forced City into a highly uncharacteristic defensive posture. For me, the most telling defensive stat is the clearances. City were forced into far more clearances. 39 compared to Palace's 20.
39 clearances.
Yeah. When your dominant, possession-heavy side is clearing the ball almost twice as often as the opposition, It's a huge indicator that your defense was constantly under pressure,
Yeah.
having to scramble to deal with danger.
That's a great point. 39 clearances suggest the City defense, Diaz, Gvardiol, and their midfielders covering the defensive block, were constantly reacting to direct threats rather than setting the tempo.
Exactly.
They were throwing their bodies on the line, blocking passing lanes, and just hoofing the ball clear, which is precisely the kind of chaos Pep Guardiola usually tries to eliminate from his side's play.
It just paints a picture of City winning ugly. They won the match despite being pressed hard and forced into panic defensive actions they wouldn't normally tolerate.
It really confirms that fan feeling, doesn't it? That Palace played most of the actual football, but City just survived the onslaught and then clinically, ruthlessly exploited the few moments they did find.
Yeah.
And we have to transition directly from that statistical proof to the emotional fallout. Because for Crystal Palace, this match wasn't just a defeat. It was a psychological battering defined by what-if moments.
Completely.
They were exceptional in chance creation, but just desperately, desperately lacking in execution.
And the sources highlight two defining moments where the game's complexion could have fundamentally changed, either by giving Palace a deserved lead or an equalizer.
Right. These were the moments that should have converted that 2.008 XG into actual, real goals on the scoreboard.
The first one came early in the first half. Yeremy Pino broke the offside trap. He received this gorgeous little binked pass from Adam Wharton, and he was clean through, one-on-one with Donnarumma.
The kind of chance you dream of.
It was described as a gilt-edged chance, the kind you absolutely must bury at this level against a team like City. But he could only manage to strike the crossbar.
If that goes in, the entire dynamic of the game shifts. Palace are leading 1-0. The crowd is absolutely electric. And City have to abandon their controlled build-up and start chasing the game, which would open up even more space for Palace's transition.
Oh, yeah. That crossbar strike was a genuine match-defining moment of misfortune.
And the second near miss came early in the second half. This time it was Adam Wharton showing his attacking quality, and he came so close to scoring his first goal for Palace with this rasping strike that rattled the foot of the post.
So 2 hits of the woodwork, both high-quality chances, both denied by millimeters. The sources confirm Palace hit the woodwork twice, City 0. It's just the cruelty of football distilled into one match.
And this immediately led to a flood of collective despair in the match threads online. The fan emotional roller coaster was focused purely on the finishing.
You can imagine.
The repeated sentiment was, created enough chances, just didn't take them, which then evolved into phrases like, missed chances FC, and this profound sense of inevitability.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling, isn't it, when you know what's coming.
And the frustration isn't new for them, one fan observed. If it was only this match, then that's one thing, but this is week in, week out. Something has to change in our finishing. Another commenter lamented, we've actually played so well, our finishing is just ruining the game for us week in and week out. Wow, it's truly heartbreaking.
And that frustration, it naturally zeroes in on the key attacker, Jean-Philippe Mateta. The sources reveal a highly nuanced debate surrounding him. Fans acknowledge his utility in the system, but they just despair at his final product.
Let's elaborate on that nuance because it's really key to understanding Oliver Glasner's tactics. Fans admit Mateta is essential for hold-up play.
Right.
They say he is the exact kind of striker Glasner loves having because of his hold-up play, and that he's excellent at receiving the ball, retaining possession, bullying defenders, and relieving pressure on the midfield. He performs that crucial dirty work perfectly.
However, the finishing is just fiercely criticized. His inability to convert the chances created by the likes of Wharton and Kamada led one fan to dramatically call his scoring ability championship-level finishing.
Ouch.
Yeah. And the general conclusion across the thread was that his lack of consistency in front of goal has been a major downfall in turning these positive performances into dominant results.
It's that constant emotional trade-off, isn't it? You love the work rate, you love the physical presence, the way he executes the tactical brief, but you can only take so much when your center forward fails to convert the chances created by a brilliant midfield.
And that frustration boiled over into genuine calls to overhaul the entire attack in the upcoming January transfer window.
There were mixed reviews for Yeremy Pino as well, who missed that defining crossbar strike. Some fans labeled his decision-making a disaster class because of his indecision in the final third, while others saw big potential.
It does highlight that the finishing problem isn't just one player. It's a collective issue of composure when they're facing the keeper.
Yeah, completely. But speaking of composure and brilliance, Despite the result, the midfield resilience of Palace received such high praise, particularly for Adam Wharton.
No, he was
A
magnificent.
true standout in the middle of the park, winning 4 tackles, which was the most of any player on the pitch.
The fans were absolutely raving about Wharton's performance, particularly his ability to maintain control and progress the ball despite City's press. One very bold statement claimed he outclassed all of City's midfield.
That is astonishing praise, isn't it? When you consider the quality of the City engine room, it just highlights Wharton's incredible ability to break up play and distribute the ball accurately under immense pressure.
And the other player receiving a lot of love was Daichi Kamada. He was praised not just for his elegance, but for doing the essential dirty work. And his passing was described as absolutely amazing. The fan community even shared the details of a chant for him, which I think really captures the atmosphere and the immediate connection he's formed with the fans.
What's the chant?
It goes, follow Daichi Kamada is running the show. He's the man from Japan, and he places a 10. And he cost us fucking 0.
Yeah, it costs us nothing. That line is the key, isn't it? It reflects the absolute joy of finding such a high-quality player on a free transfer.
It does. His passing vision, according to one fan, meant he should be on 2 assists now, if only the attackers could convert.
Which just reinforces that point again.
Yeah.
Palace's machinery is functioning brilliantly. It's just being let down by the final execution. Now we have to flip the coin and look at Manchester City, the opportunistic beneficiaries of this highly unusual game. The analysis of their performance really has to center on one thing: clinicality.
Absolutely.
They defied that massive 2.0 XG that Palace generated by demonstrating the cold, hard ruthlessness that just defines a title-contending side.
The observation from the sources that one chance and they bury it is the perfect summary. It highlights the vast chasm between Palace's profligacy and City's lethal nature. We talk about XG regression to the mean, but City consistently operate of the mean because their players are just exceptional finishers.
And no one embodies that efficiency more than Erling Haaland. The BBC report stated he was often on the periphery of the game, which is often true in City's setup, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
They don't flood the box with crosses. They rely so heavily on intricate midfield passing, yet he only needed a sniff of a chance to score his 2 goals.
Let's analyze that first goal tactically, though. He didn't dominate the play, but his movement was absolutely key.
Okay.
He forced the Palace defender, Richards, to follow him towards the near post, and then he suddenly just stepped back as Nunes delivered the cross. That small piece of spatial manipulation created just enough daylight for him to connect with the cross and head it home.
So it's not luck. It's elite timing and movement.
Exactly. He's the ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
And while the Palace fans were clearly gutted by the overall result, they did acknowledge Haaland's unique quality.
Right.
They noted he's the only player they are actually scared of in the City team, admitting that the rest of the City squad doesn't invoke the same fear they once did.
That's a massive, if grudging, compliment to his transformative, match-winning impact.
Beyond Haaland, though, Phil Foden's ascent is just undeniable. His fine finish in the 69th minute was his 6th goal in his last 5 games in all competitions.
Wow.
This run of form suggests he's reached a new level of consistency and output. He's moved from being a promising player to a genuinely indispensable one for them.
And this is where the conversation gets a bit broader, because the sources mention that the England boss, Thomas Tuchel, was watching on. If Foden continues this trajectory, the sources suggest he is providing a constant, undeniable reminder of his capabilities to the national team manager. This kind of form makes him an essential discussion point for the upcoming major tournament squad, especially given his versatility across the attack.
And Foden's goal, scored from a chance with a statistically low XG, just validates the entire City strategy. Rely on your world-class attackers to beat the statistics.
Right.
But we have to give huge credit to the man who made that chance happen, Rayan Cherki.
Cherki is the unsung creator in this analysis, and his numbers are frankly staggering. We need to look deeper into the statistical justification for why he is so vital, even if he doesn't often grab the headlines.
Let's do it. Let's dive into the specifics, using those elite statistics to show his impact. Among players in the Premier League who have played 300 minutes or more this season, Cherki ranks first for big chances created per 90, logging an incredible 1.6.
1.6. That means, on average, he creates a clear one-on-one or an open goal opportunity almost twice per game.
It's unbelievable.
And when you factor in that City only had 12 touches in the box and their open play XG was just 0.31, Cherki's role becomes monumental. He is maximizing the rare visits they have to the penalty area. He's the one delivering the highest quality final balls in the entire league.
And not only that, but he also leads the entire league for expected assists, or XA, per 90 at 0.55. These are truly elite creative numbers.
They really are.
It signifies he is generating high-quality passing opportunities at a rate that is unrivaled across the division, proving his creativity is consistent, not just accidental.
And his actual output is currently setting records. Cherki is assisting a goal every 80 minutes. That's 5 assists in 398 minutes.
Incredible.
The sources cite this as the best ever ratio in a Premier League campaign. He is the engine turning City's structured control into genuine game-winning scoring opportunities.
That combination of Haaland's finishing, Foden's form, and Cherki's historical creativity explains exactly how City managed to overperform their XG so consistently.
Yeah.
They don't need a barrage of chances. They just need one moment of high-quality delivery paired with a world-class finish to take 3 points they might not tactically deserve.
So we've established that City are ruthless and Palace are, well, unlucky. What does this all mean for the Premier League landscape now that we've analyzed the match in such microscopic detail?
For Manchester City, the implication is crystal clear. Their ability to grind out wins, even statistically undeserved ones, is the hallmark of champions. The title race is heating up, and they are not backing down. They sit second with 34 points from 16 games, just 2 points behind Arsenal, who lead on 36. And crucially, they remain the league's top scorer with 38 goals.
Okay, let's put that scoring record into a bit of context. City's overall league XG for the season is 30.0, which indicates they consistently create high-value chances. They are top of the league in XG creation.
And their clinicality over the whole season is validated by the fact that they are currently overperforming their XG by 5 goals.
Right.
Now, that might not sound huge, but the sources note this is the third best overperformance in the division, trailing only Tottenham, who are on 10.1, and Aston Villa on 5.6.
So this confirms that the ruthless finishing we saw at Selhurst Park wasn't just an isolated incident.
Not at all.
It's a foundational, calculated quality of the City team. They consistently score chances that other teams miss.
Now let's turn to the Crystal Palace paradox. Because despite the crushing nature of the 0-3 loss and that statistical injustice, they are actually having their best ever start to a Premier League season.
Which is incredible, really. They're sitting in 5th place with 26 points from 16 games.
That is a remarkable achievement for Oliver Glasner. To be sitting 5th, challenging for European places, despite these known finishing deficiencies, is just testament to the quality of their defensive structure and their midfield progression.
It really is.
The sources highlight that they're the first side to have at least double the number of points from their previous campaign after 15 games since Newcastle managed that feat between 2021-22 and 2022-23. It just shows genuine, sustained structural success.
But this result also extends a very troubling trend. The historic curse against City.
Ah, yes.
Palace are now winless in their last 11 home league games against Manchester City. That run stretches back a full decade to a 2-1 victory way back in April 2015 under Alan Pardew.
That is a significant psychological hurdle, isn't it? Selhurst Park is supposed to be a fortress, but the moment City come to town, that decade-long history of failure must weigh heavily on the minds of the players.
You'd think so.
And we should also note the historical pattern between these two sides. Before this 0-3 result, both teams had scored at least twice in each of the last 4 Premier League meetings.
That's right. They were always high-scoring games.
Exactly. So this 0-3 result marks a distinct and worrying shift towards City's defense, managing to shut the door completely, even while they were under siege.
And finally, we just need to address the immediate personnel concerns for Palace and look ahead at the future fixtures during this busy run-in. Losing key players at this stage can derail even the most promising season.
The primary injury scare revolved around Daichi Kamada, who had played so brilliantly. The worry among the Palace fans was really clear. The match thread noted he barely could walk off the pitch after being substituted in the 67th minute.
Oh,
Yeah. Losing him right before the congested Christmas schedule would be a major blow, especially given his midfield quality and his exceptional passing. His absence would just put even more pressure on Wharton.
looking ahead, both teams face immediate cup action, which just demonstrates the sheer volume of high-stakes games coming up. Manchester City will dive into the Carabao Cup quarterfinal action at home against Brentford on Wednesday. They'll likely be expected to rest a few key players, but try and maintain that three-goal scoring streak if possible.
And Crystal Palace, which demonstrates how successful their season has been by qualifying for secondary European competition, they face Europa Conference League action at home against the Finnish side Cup PS on Thursday.
So these upcoming tests will reveal how quickly Palace can recover mentally from the statistically undeserved defeat and whether City can maintain their scoring streak without burning out their core players.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean when we synthesize the episode's findings? Our deep dive into the 0-3 scoreline has, I think, peeled back the layers of a truly anomalous football match.
It really has.
This contest was the perfect illustration of the difference between elite chance creation, which Palace absolutely dominated with their 2.08 XG, their 16 shots, and 32 box touches, and just ruthless execution, which Manchester City excelled at by converting 1.1 XG into 3 goals.
The final score was undoubtedly harsh on the hosts, proving that the fans' sentiment of it being statistically unfair was entirely correct. But at the end of the day, it validates the necessity of clinical ruthlessness at the elite level. Manchester City showed their championship quality by grinding out a result they didn't necessarily deserve, scoring when they needed to, thanks to the brilliance of players like Haaland and the creation of Cherki. Palace, on the other hand, confirmed their massive potential, but also highlighted their most critical, systemic weakness: finishing.
It's a bittersweet moment for Palace fans, isn't it? The best start they've ever had to a Premier League season, yet they're still being held back by that persistent inability to bury their chances.
Which leads us nicely to our final provocative thought, something for you to mull over as we head into this busy festive run-in.
Go for it.
We've established that the quality of finishing is the single metric separating Crystal Palace, who are enjoying their best start ever, from Manchester City, who are locked in another title race. So if Palace managed to solve their striking woes in the January transfer window, if they can find a forward to consistently convert those chances the midfield is generating, what is the ceiling for this team?
That's a great question.
Given their solid defensive shape and the brilliance of midfielders like Wharton and Kamada, could they realistically break into the Champions League places? Or will this current inability to convert chances always keep them locked in that Europa League bracket, destined to be brilliant, but ultimately lacking that elite clinical edge?
A fascinating question of potential versus reality. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the numbers and the emotion behind a 0-3 score that told only half the story. We'll see you next time.